What if I told you that someone's discomfort around children has almost nothing to do with the children themselves? That when your friend winces at the idea of kids visiting, or when your neighbor avoids your family barbecue, something far deeper is happening inside them. Something they might not even understand themselves. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share will change how you see these people, and possibly how you see yourself. Here is the truth most people never consider. The adults who struggle most with children around them are often fighting a battle with their own childhood, not with the kids in front of them. This is not about being a bad person. This is about psychology, about neural pathways, about survival mechanisms that were built decades ago and never updated. When a child enters someone's space, something happens in that adult's brain. For most people, the prefrontal cortex stays calm. They see a child, they adjust, they engage. But for others, a completely different response activates. The amygdala fires, stress hormones flood the system. The body shifts into fight, flight, or freeze. All of this happens in milliseconds, before any conscious thought occurs. Why? Because children represent something. Unpredictability, chaos, loss of control, emotional expression without filters. And for an adult whose own childhood taught them that chaos was dangerous, that unpredictability meant pain, these things feel threatening, not intellectually, neurologically. This is not weakness. This is the brain doing exactly what it learned to do. Let me introduce you to a concept that changes everything: the wounded inner child. Psychologist Carl Jung first proposed this idea nearly a century ago. He observed that within every adult lives a version of themselves from childhood. This inner child carries every memory, every emotion, every unmet need from those early years. Think about that for a moment. Inside every 50-year-old executive, every 30-year-old professional, every 70-year-old grandparent, there lives a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old. These younger versions of ourselves do not disappear. They simply go underground. They hide, but they continue to influence everything we do. When we have warm, safe childhoods, this inner child feels secure. When we encounter actual children, we connect easily. We play, we laugh, we tolerate the mess and noise because our own inner child feels safe. The chaos outside does not activate chaos inside. But when childhood was marked by neglect, criticism, chaos, or emotional absence, that inner child carries wounds, deep ones. And those wounds do not heal simply because we grew taller. They do not heal because we got degrees, jobs, relationships. They remain, waiting, hidden but active. Children who experience trauma learn to repress their emotions to survive. They disconnect from their own childlike qualities because those qualities were not safe to express. Joy was punished, needs were ignored, spontaneity was shut down. As adults, these individuals feel uncomfortable around children, not because children are inherently bothersome, but because children are walking, talking, reminders of everything they had to suppress in themselves. The laughing child in your living room is not just a child to them. That child is a mirror, reflecting back the playfulness they buried, the vulnerability they armored over. And mirrors can be painful. There is another layer here: sensory overload. This one is less discussed but equally powerful. Research from the Child Mind Institute shows that many adults experience sensory processing challenges. Their brains struggle to filter and organize sensory input the way others can. What feels like normal background noise to one person feels like an assault to another. Children bring sensory intensity, high-pitched voices, sudden movements, unpredictable sounds, running, jumping, objects being dropped and thrown. For someone with sensory sensitivity, this is not annoying, it is overwhelming. The nervous system cannot keep up. It floods. The response looks like irritation or coldness, but underneath is exhaustion, panic, a desperate need for the input to stop so the brain can reset. 1 in 6 children experiences sensory processing difficulties. Many grow into adults who never received help. They learn to mask their overwhelm, to hide it, to simply avoid situations that trigger it. They became experts at seeming fine while feeling flooded inside. These adults are not choosing to feel this way. Their brains are wired this way. From childhood, from genetics, from experiences they may not even consciously remember. Let me tell you about control. For many adults who struggle with children around, control is the central issue. Not control over the children, control over their environment, their space, their emotional state, their sense of safety. When you grow up in chaos, you learn that control equals safety. You learn to arrange your world carefully. Noise levels, cleanliness, predictability, where things go, when things happen. These are not preferences. They are survival strategies. They are how you learn to feel okay in a world that felt unpredictable and unsafe. Children shatter these arrangements. They spill things. They move things. They make unexpected sounds. They ask uncomfortable questions. They express emotions freely and loudly. They do not follow the unspoken rules of controlled environments. For someone who survived childhood by controlling everything they could, this feels like an invasion, like their carefully constructed safety net is being torn apart. The child has done nothing wrong. The adult's nervous system simply cannot tolerate the disruption. This is not about the mess on the floor. This is about the internal mess that gets stirred up. Now let me address something sensitive: shame. Many adults who avoid children carry deep shame about their own childhoods, about how they were treated, about how they behaved, about what they needed and never received. When they see happy, carefree children, two things can happen. They might feel anger. Why does this child get what I never had? Why do they get to be loud and messy and still be loved? Or they might feel inadequacy. I do not know how to be around children. I do not know how to play. I am broken in some way that other adults are not. Both responses come from the same wound, a childhood where they learned that their natural childlike state was wrong, unacceptable, too much. Dr. Vanessa Lapointe, a registered psychologist, makes an important observation. Every single person knows how to play because every single person was once a child. The adults who say they do not know how to interact with children are not lacking ability. They are blocked by something: self-consciousness, old shame, fear of judgment. They have disconnected from their own playfulness so thoroughly that they no longer recognize it in themselves. We all have an inner child. We all carry something from our earliest years. The question is whether that inner child feels safe enough to come out. When we struggle with actual children, it is often a signal. Something remains unhealed. Something still hurts. The person who snaps at a toddler for being too loud may be the same person who was screamed at for making any noise at all. The behavior is in the present. The wound is in the past. So what do we do with this understanding? If you struggle with children around, hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not a monster. You are carrying something. And that something deserves attention, compassion, possibly professional support. The discomfort you feel is information. Your nervous system and your wounded inner child are trying to communicate something important. And if you know someone who struggles with children around, consider this. They are not rejecting your kids. They are protecting themselves from their own unresolved pain. This does not mean you should force children on them. Boundaries are healthy, but it does mean we can hold space for more understanding, less judgment. Because here is the beautiful thing. When adults do this healing work, something remarkable happens. They begin to reconnect with their own inner child. They rediscover playfulness, joy without conditions. And often their relationship with actual children transforms. The triggers decrease, the nervous system calms. They are not becoming different people. They are becoming more fully themselves. The selves they were before survival required them to shut parts of themselves away. Let me leave you with this. Every adult who struggles with children was once a struggling child themselves. Those coping mechanisms served them then. They may not serve them now, but they were never wrong. The next time you see someone uncomfortable around children, remember, you are not seeing cruelty, you are seeing a wound. You are seeing a nervous system doing what it learned to do. And wounds, unlike character flaws, can heal. Behind every reaction is a story. Behind every avoidance is a reason. Behind every adult is a child who is still waiting to feel safe. If this shifted something in you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because understanding is where healing begins.